Mm, 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 mm. Testing, testing. Okay. Okay. So this is the meeting with Dr. Green.
How are you, Tevin?
Dr. Green, how are you?
Yeah, very good, thanks.
I'm wonderful. I'm wonderful.
That's good.
Are you ready?
I am, yes.
Okay, cool. You're not going to turn your video on?
If you want to see my face, that's what I look like.
Yeah, that would be great. No, that's cool. Are you getting
It might
cold?
just be,
That looks like a big jacket, man.
yeah, it's not very warm when you sit still the whole day.
Okay, okay. And how are you? How has things been?
No, it's good. It's a little tricky at the moment. Obviously, with everything being online at university, we have
Yeah.
limited access to our students, which makes things a little bit more tricky for them.
Yeah.
But yeah, we survive. At the end of the day, we get stuff done. Head down,
Okay.
bum up, and carry on.
Yeah. So what's the curriculum looking like right now? Because I know with the sports science, right, there was a massive element of practical. So that's not happening right now?
At the moment, no. So all of our practicals are currently on hold. So we're not allowed to do any contact lessons under level 4 lockdown measures. So we're hoping that by the time level 3 comes in the next couple of weeks, we'll be able to then resume with all of our practical sessions. So far this year, we haven't had any practicals with our students, which does make it a little bit difficult for them because a lot of the content that we talk about in class, you really need that practical component to make
Yeah.
things a little bit more understandable.
Yeah. Okay, cool. Okay, cool. So did you go through the document? Are you excited about it?
Yeah. No, it looks fantastic. It looks like it should be something great. Very exciting stuff.
Okay, power. So I'm very excited about you actually being a part of something like this because I think it will be fantastic just from your personal brand as well. Because I remember we had this conversation where you entertained at least the idea of building the brand of Dr. Green. So I think something like this, right, where we can actually showcase your knowledge, we can showcase the things that you know. I think it will be spectacular. And even if you look at the way that we want to do it, I definitely think that it's something that you can then take and make it your own and, like run and tell the world about the things that you are doing. So I'm excited. So I don't know, is there any questions that you might have for me before we actually start the meeting?
No, not. I think as they come up, I'll just ask them. But nothing
Okay.
straight off the bat. No.
Okay, cool. Okay, cool. So I want to just explain what is the process like, right? So we have a scouting process, right, which is going to be done virtually. Players will basically be sending or tagging us in their videos. We will then assess the level of talent based on that video. We're creating a short list right now of at least 28 players, right? We then want to maybe invite 30 players to the combine, where they will then run through this sort of assessment. And then once the assessment is done, we want to be ranking the players according to how well they have done. Once the ranking system is then done, we're going to be having a draft day, a Pro Arena Sports draft day. where the teams that are involved will now begin to choose the players that they want. And yeah, that's basically the setup. And once the draft day is done, we'll be having a training day. So all the players that are on a certain team will be able to know each other at least, have that sort of, I don't want to say, like, you have to play with your teammates.
Yeah, so you got to learn the nuances of the team.
Exactly. So that's what we're going to create. And then after that, we'll be then looking towards the event itself. So the event, I think you read the document. So it's 4 teams. It's a straight knockout competition. Each team plays 2 matches. It's going to be live streamed. We're going to be creating a post-content production on each of these elements. So the combine itself, we're going to have recordings there. We want to document some of the things there, interview some of the players, and then create content around that that we'll just be uploading onto our page and onto our platform. That will basically be the build-up. But something that is cool, right? So you have the Exhibition Cup. This is basically a showcase of what our idea is. But our long-term plan is actually to carry this exact strategy over about a 9-month period. So instead of scouting being for 2 weeks, it will be done within the first 3 months. Once the scouting is done, we'll then create our shortlist, and the next 3 months will be the combine. It will be the like withering down that list to create our number that we want, for example. And then we have the combine event, and then again the draft event. And then in the last 3 months, we're then going to be having the actual competition. So our idea is to have a consistent weekly fixture for like 2 months on end. I think it's about 2 months. And then the competition is done. And then the back end of that is us creating post content again to fill up our page, to fill up our content on social media, and have people watch the videos on demand, those who are interested in that sort of content. And yeah, that's our strategy. That's our idea. I know with you in particular, I'm interested in the combine setup that we have. I want to know maybe your thoughts on it. Did you think about it? Or yeah, if you can give me some insight there.
Yeah, I think a lot of the tests that you had put into the documents and those we have spoken about previously, I think those are pretty much what you would expect to find in an arena style performance test. I think a lot of it is going to be change direction, possibly agilities, reactive agilities, your power development. And then maybe like something like repeated sprints, but that's from a viewership point of view, that's not going to be as exciting. That those are more of the things that you do behind the scenes to gauge performance of athletes. I think the exciting ones are probably the ones also that it's very easy to get athletes on board for. Ones where you can see visual differences in performances rather than here's a number for you. Because the ones that we're interested in from a scientific point of view, the numbers are not particularly exciting to observe because they take forever to complete. Yeah, so from that standpoint, I think all of those tests will be sufficient to almost rate your athletes. And I think that's pretty much what you're aiming for.
Yeah. So if I can then maybe just ask, is there a way that we can, if you were to list 5, is 5 exercises enough or is that too many? Because just think about the day itself, it's going to be about 40 athletes, 30 to 40 athletes on the day. And based on those stats that we have, we'll begin to eliminate. So I don't know, is 5 going to be too much? Is it too little? What are your thoughts?
It might actually be a bit too much. I think, a lot of the times is, and also what you're most likely to find with your athletes is you're going to be looking at other parameters apart from just the strength and the power of the individuals. So I think, you probably 3 or 4 tests would be sufficient. Time-wise as well, a lot of them, the more you practice them, the better you become. So it could be something that they practice in their own private time, and then they've got 2 or 3 attempts to do it on the day. Once they are familiar with the process, because once you've learned the process, for like a vertical jump height, you then know how to manipulate the system in order to get a better height. The same thing with your change in directions is once you've actually done the test and you've practiced it, you know exactly how to improve your performance and how to almost cheat the system. So those are all the things that, you know, when somebody does the first test, it's not quite obvious what has to happen. And then the second and the third attempt, what you normally see is there's an improvement on their first attempt.
I think that's actually a great idea. So we can maybe maybe if you can like draft a short list of the tests that you are going to be looking at, because ideally okay, let me say the ideal situation would be you drafting the test, you then maybe even being there on the day, maybe not to man it, like to actually let the athletes go through it, but I think just from a supervisor perspective, you know, because like I mentioned, we want to create a show out of it. And I think if you are the one developing the different tests, you are also going to be the one maybe analyzing those tests. We want to create like an interview setup with you. If I can just give you an example, Justin Lakey, he's the show presenter. So if he's able to maybe sit down with you at the venue on this particular day, and you guys are having a discussion like, oh no, these are the tests. This is basically what we are looking for. And then like as athletes are going through it, there's like a discussion happening. So if you look at it right now, right, we have a live screen, which is probably me as the big screen. And then there's a small screen in the corner, right? It would be dope if like you and Justin is having a conversation about the athlete who is maybe going through the drill, or maybe about the athlete who has already gone through that drill. I think that will be really cool. I also like the idea of maybe like prepping the athlete first, you know, like giving them an introduction or some sort of manual or some sort of video demonstration. These are the tests that you will be running, and you can actually begin to practice it at your home. I don't know, is that gonna maybe skew the results a bit? I'm not even okay.
It won't really, no. Because if you think about it, what you want to do is you want to get the maximal performance from the individuals. And the more you practice it, the quicker you're going to reach the ceiling. It's highly unlikely that if they've got a week or two to practice the movements, that you're going to get a major improvement occurring in the numbers. Okay. Chances are what you're going to do is just going to allow them to reach the ceiling a little bit quicker. It's highly unlikely that they're going to break through that threshold.
Okay, then I think it's a fantastic idea, because I know with I think it's the NFL combine, athletes are prepped. They are literally doing those drills as part of their training program, so that when they are enlisted on the combine or in the combine, they know it. They're doing it as though it's like second-handed nature. And I think maybe that also gives you a true reflection of the athlete's ability, firstly to learn, and then obviously execute the drills that are in front of them. I think that would be fantastic. So if I can now ask, maybe from your perspective, if you were to list those 3 or 4 exercises, what would they be in your capacity as Mr. Dr. Green? So why I want to emphasize it being you is because we want to actually create some content around you as well. And I think that's a great leverage setup, especially from what we can offer from a marketing perspective, from a content development perspective, and from a brand building perspective as well. That's our draw card, that's our leverage. So I think if we can leverage with your name as the doctor, as the specialist, and like you basically give us in return, yes, these are the exercises, this is how you do it, whatever the case is. I don't know, does that make sense?
Yeah, that makes perfect sense. Yeah, if just off the top of my head, like the test that I would do is obviously firstly going to be the vertical jump test. I think that's most visually appealing, and it's a quick and easy, efficient test to do. The sensitivity and accuracy of it is not 100% perfect, but for the purposes of the test, it would be fine. I think a lot of it, that's what they do in the NFL. There are other ways that you can measure it. Unfortunately, it does require a little bit more, not little, a lot more expensive equipment. And if you have a look at the rand-dollar exchange rate, it doesn't make anything any easier. But you can get pretty much the same results and you can make the same decisions based on the vertical jump test. A second type of test that I would do is just probably a sprint test. But it wouldn't be a very long sprint test, and I'd probably like also incorporate, probably not even as much. It would probably a 10-meter sprint, because your field dimensions are not going to be particularly large. So the chances that your athletes are going to get up to their maximal speed is not going to be very likely. What you could also do is that would effectively be a sprint acceleration measure. So how quickly can they get from 0 meters per second to a movable velocity? And then a second component would be a running start sprint test, which is almost I want to say it's a change in direction test. Even though you are still going forward, you effectively just get an instruction to increase your velocity. So you would probably run for 10 to 20 meters, and then as soon as you hit the marker, you then have to accelerate to full sprint. And that then will just give an indication of how quickly people can react to increasing their velocity. Because what you'll see most of the time, in sports is people are always going to be moving at some sort of velocity. Very infrequently are individuals standing still. So there's always going to be some level of movement, and it's how quickly can they react to an object or a situation and then adapt to it. So is that a change in direction? Is it an increase in velocity? Is it a decrease? And then obviously something like an agility test, which there's numerous ones out there. You got your T tests, your L tests, your 45 degree turns, your Illinois, all of those types of tests, which are all pretty much standardized, and they all, to a certain extent, give a pretty much the same measurements in terms of change in direction. I am stressing the point change in direction because there's a huge misnomer where agility is often used for a change in direction. So change in direction is exactly what it says. You're changing your direction, or you're changing your acceleration or velocity. Whereas your agility test has to be a reaction to a stimulus. So you would have to find something, like in football setting, if you have an opponent approaching you, what you would normally do is you need to change your direction based on the velocity. How quickly is the person coming towards you?
Okay. And then, is there any element of I know the entire test is geared around being sport specific or movement specific within a certain sport, right? But something that I noticed that it went viral actually on social media. The NBA, they also did their combine, right? And they had like a slam dunk test or a slam dunk challenge, whatever the case is. And it was just people slam dunking the ball in the net. And that video went viral. So I'm just thinking, is there any sort of drill that we can maybe come up with that will also then maybe be our stamp, or like our stamp of this is the Pro Arena Sports mark. This is the Holy Grail. Because I know you have the performance element, but I think having just something that is niched into the sport or something that is absolutely relevant from the sport, I think that's gold. Is there anything that maybe you can recommend there?
I'm not aware of anything specific, but there's nothing stopping us from putting something together. I mean, for an example, you could, a lot of the international police tests, they have to follow almost like an obstacle course. And you have a minimum time where you have to, jump over certain things, climb under, do ropes, sprints, all of those types of things. There's nothing stopping us from putting something like that together where an individual has to, let's say, sprint 20 meters, change in direction 180 degrees, go through a slalom type thing, take 2 shots at goals, get a ball in, get a ball into some very small, almost impossible target. And then, you can rate them according to the performances on that.
I think that sounds great. And we can actually utilize the entire field because the field is not big. So if we can create some sort of course that maybe lasts for about 30 seconds or so, I think that's too long. Maybe 20 seconds, they run in this direction, do the slalom, accelerate out, receive the ball, maybe do a step over or some skill that passes the ball through the cone, and then they finish it off with a shot or something like that. And we can maybe time that. And obviously the shortest time to complete the course with a goal, have those sort of technical elements to it as well. That's how we can then rank them. What about a goalkeeper? would a goalkeeper then need to complete that same obstacle course, or should there be something different for them?
The goalkeeper, you could always get them to do the same course, but it might be better to have it something more specific to the tasks that they have in game. So that, that would be, your side-to-side shuffles, how quickly can you get up and down, forward, backward, and obviously, stopping the ball. So all of those tasks, you could make specific to the playing position. But there's nothing stopping them, because realistically, those are skills that everybody needs for the game. Is you have to be able to accelerate, change direction, kick the ball.
I think, okay, cool. That makes a lot of sense. So when it comes to the drafting of those drills, how long do you think it might take you to do it? Would it take you long?
No, it shouldn't. At the moment, I'm a little bit overloaded with some content at just developing for our students, because we've just resumed with all our classes. But it shouldn't take too long to get that together. Obviously, we do also have a very good sports science team at UJ that we can, delegate that work to as well.
Yeah, power. So then also, this is what I want to understand. So now we have a clear understanding that, okay, cool, we want to build this combine with your name being the forefront of it. This is something that was developed by Dr. Green. What else can we basically add into that, or what else can we leverage from that? Because you're speaking about the UJ students now. Is that something that we might get access to? What would they want in return for that? And even let's talk about the equipment as well. Is the equipment going to be coming from you as Dr. Green, because that's the leverage, or would it be coming from UJ? And now we need some sort of terms of agreement or something.
Well, technically, all the equipment does belong to the university. So I think if we just start on that point, what we can do is we can use it as a teaching and training exercise for our students. And effectively, what we do before we get major things signed and MOUs put into place and all the wonderful legal paperwork that has to happen is we could possibly just volunteer our services. And work it as a community engagement type effort. Effectively, what we do is our students they have to be able to perform and interpret a lot of the results. In fact, all of the results from performance tests as part of their qualification. So we can incorporate that as part of a volunteer program from our students. With that being said, as I did mention earlier, is that our students have very little experience with these tests because we haven't started any of our practical sessions. So that's the only one thing that just needs to be flagged at the moment is their ability to probably professionally do the test is going to be a little bit low. They'll be able to carry them out. But there's a huge difference between able to carry out a test and to conduct a test very professionally. So that all obviously comes with experience and more practice.
Yeah. So if you look at what we are trying to do, right, we do have a long-term plan around this. But I'm just thinking for the combine, right, we want to create it for regions. So our plan is to go national. We want all 9 provinces involved. So maybe when it comes to the Gauteng province, we can specifically partner with UJ or partner with the volunteering students of UJ. And then obviously as we go to Free State or whatever, and then partner maybe with that university with a similar agreement. I think that's is that something that you guys are cool with, or do you want to be traveling with us throughout the country?
No, I don't, to be quite honest, I don't think that would be possible. It's a whole lot easier just to stay close to home and get stuff done here. There's numerous universities in the country that are capable of providing an equal, if not better, service. So it might, ideally, if you have a look at a lot of the sports worldwide, is local teams are supported by local universities. So how great would it be is if a Johannesburg university is associated with, let's say, a Johannesburg team later on down the line, and a Free State university is associated with the Free State team, all of those different things. While the tests might all just be standardized, it would just give more of a showcase to South African universities.
Mm, I think that's a great idea because I think um, maybe universities need this sort of light right now. They need to be seen as being active and proactive, especially during the times that we are in. I know that a lot of people might have lost I don't want to say respect. I don't know if that's the right word, but lost like the absolute desire to go to university. Maybe this is the way that we can rekindle that flame and make it a love story again that hey, we have to go to university. And okay, I think that's really cool. And then what do you want as Dr. Green? So let's just quickly focus on the brand of Dr. Green. How would you want to what would your brand be about firstly? And then also how would you like to communicate that message of your brand? Do you want it maybe just to be okay, no, whenever it's Pro Arena Sports does this element, that's where I want to be featured and that's it? Or do you want us maybe to continually follow you, create content for you, or I don't know, what are some of your thoughts there?
Yeah, I'm not the type of person that likes the spotlight. I prefer to be in the shadows behind the scenes. I'm really not the type of person that likes to be up in front of people, believe it or not. So for me, the more I can do in the background and the less I have to do front and center, that would be the best for me. And also I have to also be the UJ ambassador. So, it's not that I'm going anywhere, but if Andrew leaves UJ, does this mean the relationship ends? And I would hope that that's not going to be the case. Ideally, what I would prefer is this is Department of Sports and Movement. Andrew is representing the department, and everything that Andrew does, the Department of Sports and Movement can do with or without Andrew. So that's the type of approach that I would like to follow, mainly because I don't like the limelight.
Okay, I think that makes complete sense. So maybe in our interviews that we'll be having with Justin, we'll basically cue him to be like, okay, cool. When we are talking to you, be mindful that we are talking on behalf of the university, or at least on behalf of your department. So yes, Dr. Green will be there. It's validated by you, the guy who drew this thing up. That's cool. But you are basically showcasing what the university is able to do as well.
Yeah, because realistically that's what we have to do. So all intellectual property that happens at a university. So if I think of something fantastic this afternoon, it belongs to UJ. I might have thought of it, but it doesn't belong to me personally. It belongs to the university. So even the the protocols that we'll develop, it was developed by me and the team, but it belongs to the university and the department.
Okay, cool. I think that makes a lot of sense. I think it's something that we can just make it flashy, like we can't hide that. So let's just make it a good thing, I guess, or try and shine some good light on it. And then I'm just trying to think. No, I think I've covered everything. Oh, yes, this is what we will need as well. We will need time with you. So when I say time with you, I actually have a meeting with the venue tomorrow. So we're going to hopefully get some dates out of that meeting. And will you be available on those dates? The area, if I can just let you know about the venue, is based in the south. The south. If I say Kibble Park, do you know where that is?
I don't, but I do have Google Maps.
There you go. Okay, cool. So you'll be able to maybe meet us at the venue, have that interviews. Obviously, we try and make it so that it's absolutely convenient for you. We're not going to ask you to come there 3 days in a row. It will rather be, okay, cool, let's do a session this week and we try and fill in as many things as we can on that day. And then maybe on the day of the combine, you are there as well. And then, yeah, I think that would be cool. If you'd like a VVIP ticket, you let me know. I can hook you up with that. And yeah, I think this is a great meeting. I don't know. Is there anything else from your side that you'd like to?
Not nothing specific. I'll just have to double check the calendar dates and all the rest. because my second semester is very, very busy with teaching. So my first semester is normally very quiet, and then all of the hard work has to be done in terms 3 and 4 for me. So I'll just have to double check those dates to make sure that I don't have any live sessions with my students. But if I'm available, then yeah, most definitely can pop down. But also, you know, as I said, we're part of a team here. So if it's not me that's down there, we can always send somebody else who's better in front of the camera and more knowledgeable.
Okay, cool. No, I love that, man. I love that. Okay, I'm happy. Are you happy?
Yeah, most definitely happy. Yeah, I think that's it. That's everything.
Okay, Paul. So what I will do is I'll send you the link from this meeting just so that you can have it for minutes purposes. And you can go through it if you want to. And obviously we'll do the same with it. And then, yeah, that's it. Thank you so much for your time, Dr. Green. I appreciate
no problem.
you. Yeah, and then we also need to have our discussion on the doctor date, but not now. Not now.
That's something for another time.
There we go. Okay, cool. But that's it. Thank you so much.
All right, great stuff.
Dr. Green.
Thank you, Tim. All right, cheers. Take it easy.